In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to create a GUI shop which will allow players in your game to buy virtual items. Let's get started. Welcome back to another video. My name is AlvinBlox and today we're going to be creating this GUI which will allow players to buy items in your game with virtual currency. Now in my last video I taught you how to create a currency system which saves and which will allow you to buy stuff, and today we're making a shop which will allow you to spend that currency. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we've got this GUI in our game. So I've already made the GUI. Now if you want to make your own GUI and also want to use this script, you're going to have to make it look the same as mine. Okay, so it's going to have a main frame, item description. It's going to have to look like this. But if you want to take this GUI, you just need to go to the description of this video and there'll be a link to the model. You just need to take that model, then go to the toolbox, and it should be in your models. If you just click my models, you'll be able to drag it in and place it into the starter GUI. So we're going to just script this GUI today. We're going to script it so that it shows the item you've currently selected, and then we're going to get some information about the item and show it on the right here. And then whenever you click the buy button, we're going to make a request to see if you have enough money to buy that item, and if you do, we will give the player or you the item. Well, to get started, you can see we have two frames. We have item description and a list inside of this main frame, and the list is where all of our items are going to go. So each item is going to be an image button, and the name of that image button is going to be the name of your gear. Okay, so if you're wanting to give a sword, the name of your image button would be sword, the same as your tool. On the item description, we have a buy button. We also have an image label, which is going to be the selected image. And then inside of that image label, we've got a text label, and that's going to display how much the selected item costs. And this value here, selected item, will change whenever we click one of these image buttons. So we're going to start by coding a leaderboard script. If your game currently does not have a leaderboard, then we're just going to quickly add one to our game. So we're going to insert a script into server script service, and we're just going to want to get a normal leaderboard script, and it looks like this. Okay, you should know how to do leaderboards if you have watched some of my tutorials before, or you're getting into monetization. It's very simple. When a player enters the game, we add a folder called leader stats, and inside of that we put some currency called points. You just want to change points to the name of your currency, so if it was called cash, you change this to cash, for example. But we're going to keep it at points for today in our shop, and there we go, that is our leaderboard done. I'm just going to call this script the server handler. So we're going to put all of our server scripts in this one big script here, and we're going to get started then by coding our image buttons here so that we can show the selected gear on the right. So to do that, we're going to have to insert a local script into our first gun, which is called hyper, and we also need to insert into the server storage a folder called shop items, just like that. And you need to make sure the S and I are capitalized for shop and items, and inside of here is where we're going to put all of the tools which the player can buy. So for each tool which you're going to sell, you're going to want an individual folder. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. So we've pasted this folder inside of shop items. So whenever you've got a new item, just copy and paste this folder and change hyper to the name of your tool. So you can see the tool currently inside the folder is called hyper, and that's what we're going to give the hyper gun here. So inside the folder we've got the tool, and we've also got a value called points. This is how much you want this gun to cost. So if you want it to cost 300 points, you'd want to set this value to 300, but we're just going to keep it at 99 for now. And we're also just going to do another folder which I can just copy in here called portal gun. So we've also got a gun inside this folder called portal gun, and that is going to cost us 77 points. So we've got our two guns now in the shop items folder. We've got our server handler script. We just need to add one more thing, which is our remote functions. So remote functions, they allow you, the client, which is the player, to talk to the server. So the client can make a request to the server, and the server can send some information back. So for example, when we click on the image button here, we're going to make a request from the client to the server, and we're going to ask how much the gun costs, and then the server is going to send back to us, it's going to send back feedback the cost of that item, so that you can't exploit the game to change how much everything costs. So let's just insert a remote function in here, and we're just going to call this one get info. So one of them is going to be for getting information about the tool, and we're going to just duplicate it, and we're going to have another one which is called check sale, and we'll get onto that a bit later on. But check sale is going to make sure that the player that the transaction is legal, and that the player is allowed to buy the specific tool. So let's head back to our local script then, and what we're going to want to do, we want to define a couple of variables right now. So we want to firstly define replicated storage, so that is where the remote functions are. So we can say local replicated storage equals game :get service, and then in speech marks we can say replicated service, replicated storage. Okay, so this is a replicated storage, it's where all of our remote functions are, and we can just quickly say replicated storage to get to them. Next, we want to define the selected item value, so we can say local selected item equals script.parent wait for child selected item. So we're just waiting for that selected item to be added into the game, and this is the value that we're going to update. Whenever you click on the one of the gears, we can update the selected value so that when we click the buy button, we know what we're going to purchase. So the next variable we want to declare is the selected image label here. So we can say local selected image equals script.parent item description. And then we can say wait for child. In fact, no, we can say wait for child item description dot selected image. Okay, and then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to define the selected name, which is the text label inside of the selected image. So we can say local selected name equals selected image, and then we can say dot selected name, and that is what we're going to update with the number of points of how much something costs. So we're going to want to now have a mouse button one click event. So this is going to run whenever one of the image labels has been clicked, and what we want to do is we want to make a remote function request now. So we want to request to one of our remote functions to get some information about the tool which has just been clicked. So we want to get the price of the tool, so we can say local price, and then we can make a call to our remote function. We can invoke it by saying, we can say replicated storage, and then we want to say get info, and then we say colon invoke server, and then we can pass through to the server script.parent.name, because this is the name of the tool. Remember how I said the image buttons need to be called the same as the actual tool object. This is because we are passing the name of the image button, and that is going to work as the tool name, so that when this request is seen by the server, we can see that the player wants to buy this specific tool. So just so that both the tool name and the image button are the same, it just makes it easier to know what the player wants to buy. So we just need to make sure that there is actually a value that has been returned for the price. So if price is not equal to nil, then what we can do is we can update the selected image, selected name, and selected item values to the tool which is going to be bought. So we can say selected name dot text equals price, and then double dot, and then in speech marks we can say points with a space. So we're concatenating the price with points, so it will show up how much the item's going to cost. What's wrong here? Selecting that. I made a spelling mistake up here on the variable. Just make sure that's selected name. And then what we're going to do is we're going to update the selected image. So selected image.image equals, and then we can say script.parent.image, because we just want to update this image here. We want to update that to whatever the clicked image will be. So we can just say script.parent.image, and then we just want to say selected item value equals script.parent.name. So we're updating this value here to whatever the image button is called. So if we selected hyper, then this would be called, the value of this string value would be hyper. So when we click on the buy button, we can easily find out what is selected. So that is all we need to do for the first part, which is actually getting how much it costs. Let's just have a look and see if it works. So we can open the game, and we have a small error. Let's have a look what it says. It says selected name is not a valid member of image label on line 4. Let's have a look. Selected name. Yes, it has a capital S for selected name. Let's try that again. I'll try to leave the errors in for you guys so you can see what's going wrong and how to fix it. So you can see we've got the hyper laser gun, and if we click on it, nothing happened. Okay. And we can click on this one and nothing happens. Okay, let's just have a look. Something might be going on here. So, aha, of course. No wonder it's not working. We haven't coded it on the server yet. Whoops, that was my bad. So we actually need to code the request here to actually get the information and send it back. So no wonder it's not working because you haven't done that yet. So what we can do in this server script, in the server handler, what we can do is we can create an event for when the remote function is fired. So to do that, we can just say replicated storage. We want to make a variable for that at the top. So local replicated storage equals game get service replicated storage. Okay, and then we just want to do another variable for the shop items. So game get service server storage, because that's where the shop items held. Wait for child shop items. So this is where the tools are held. Okay, so we've got our two variables. We just now want to get the replicated storage, and then we can say dot get info dot on server event :connect function, and then we want to have an argument here that will be the player that requested this remote function, and also the item which they have chosen. And then we just want to return back the price of that item, so we can say return shop items, and then we can say item in square brackets because that's the name of the item, dot points dot value. So that's going to return back the points, how much it costs. So if we try out the game now, and let's just have a look. On server event is not a valid. Of course, yep. I know what's wrong here. So this is a common mistake. What's happened is this event has been written as if it's a remote event, but it's actually a remote function, which is a callback function. So because we're returning something, we have to actually write it like this. So we can say dot get info, and because it's also a remote event, we're going to have to say on server invoke equals function. On server invoke means that when it's been invoked, so it's a remote function, not a remote event, so we have to invoke it. And then the event looks a little bit different because we say equals, and then we just declare this function here. So if we try this again, I think there might be another error, yep, because we need to get rid of this bracket. Let's run it again, and there we go. You can see it. We've clicked the hyper laser gun. It's found how much it costs, and it has returned back the price. So update that text label, and we've also updated the image labels image. So we now need to put this local script into the other gun. So whenever you're making a new gun, make sure that this local script is inside its image button. And now we can get started with the buy button. So let's insert a local script into the buy button. And let's get rid of this print hello world. And what we want to happen here is we want to define a couple more variables. So we can just quickly take this replicated storage variable to get us started from the other script. And then we want to define the selected item. So we're going to want to say local selected item equals script.parent.parent.parent wait for child selected item. And we want to also get the we also want to now have some variables for the button. So if the purchase failed, we want to show up a red color. So local red color equals, and then what you want to do is you want to select a color for this, so a color 3. So I can just say color 3.from RGB, and then we can do a red value. So let's just do 255. So that's for red, and let's add a little bit of green and blue in, so that it looks a bit like persimmon color. And then we can do local green color equals color 3.from RGB, and then for this one, the color that we're going to use is 234111. So it's mainly a green color, just to show that the purchase was a success. So now that we've done that, the next variable we want to create is a time delay, which is going to be 2 seconds. So when they click the button and it says purchase failed or purchase success, there'll be a 2-second delay before it goes back to saying buy. So what we want to do is we also want to just define another variable called success, and you'll see why we're doing this in a moment. But this is just so that if we can tell whether the purchase was a success or not, and then we'll allow them to buy the item. So we're going to want to insert a mouse button one click event like this, and we want to make a remote function request again. Okay, so we want to set success to false for now. Whoops, spelt it wrong, success. Because we don't know whether it's gone right or wrong, but if it did go alright when we get the request back, we will update the success value back to true. So we can say if selected item dot value is not equal to nil, then we can make a request to the remote function. So if there is a selected item, then we can actually request to make a transaction. So we can say success equals replicated storage dot check sale invoke server. Let's add in the other bracket, and let's give the selected, let's pass through the selected, I can't type today, selected item dot value. We want to pass that through, and what will happen is we're going to script it so that the remote function, the server script, will either return true or false. So it will either be a success or it won't. So we can check to see if success, then we can have an else here. And in this block of code, we're just going to say script.parent.text equals success, or we say purchased. We can wait 2 seconds. In fact, we'll wait the time delay, because that's what we've defined as a variable. And then we can say script.parent.text equals buy, just like that. And then we just want to do the same thing in the else. So in case something did go wrong, we want to say purchase failed, and we want to wait the time delay, and we're also just going to put it back to buy. But we also want to change the text color here, so we want to say script.parent.text color 3 equals green color, and let's just put that over here as well in the success, just so that if it was clicked while it was red, it goes back to green. And we can just make it red here for when it's a purchase failed. 3 equals red color, just like that. So there we go, we have got our buy button complete. All that's left is for us to code the check sale server side. So we can do the same thing here. We can copy this this on server invoke and just paste it, and change get info to check sale, because we've got the same arguments of player and item. And then what we're going to do, we're just going to get rid of this return. We're going to make it a bit bigger, and we're going to want to say local price equals shop items. So we're getting the price again. So item in square brackets, because that's the name, dot points dot value, and then we can say if player dot leader stats dot points dot value is greater than or equal to the price. Then we've got another if statement here, and inside of here we're going to want to have an else where we can return false, because if they haven't got enough money, we know that the purchase is going to be a fail. So we want to return success as false. Otherwise, we're going to return true. And here's where we want to handle the, we want to deduct the points from their balance. So we can say player.leaderstats.points.value equals player.leaderstats.points.value, take away price, so this is deducting it from their account balance. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say local gear, which is the tool, equals shop items, and then in square brackets item, because that's the folder. Then we want to say item again, because inside the folder there will be an object with the same name, which is the tool. And then we want to clone that, and we want to put this in the player's starter gear so that they get it when they reset. And we also just want to clone it once more so that we can put it inside of their backpack. So the backpack is where it shows up on your inventory. You can select it, but if you reset, the backpack gets cleared. But if it's in your starter gear as well, then it's gonna go back to your backpack when you reset. But it doesn't save. I'm gonna have a weapon saving tutorial out very soon, so make sure to watch out for that on my channel. But apart from that, I think that is everything. Let's go and test this out and make sure that it works. There might be a couple of errors, so we'll see. So we're going to click on the items. You can see that it updates with a selected item. If we click on buy, you can see we have been given the tool. You might not be able to see it because the GUI is in the way. Let's just try and buy another item, but you can see we can buy as many items as we want. Don't worry about the error, it's just an error in the tool. I didn't make the tool. But you can see we can shoot, you can do anything. You can update this with your custom weapons and it will still give you the weapon as long as you change the names of everything. But just to finish off, let's just add a little toggle button which will allow us to open and close the GUI. So to do this, we're just going to wait for it to come back. I know Roblox Studio has been having a couple of loading issues recently, but that's alright. We're going to insert a text button. I'm just going to quickly drag it over here. It's not going to be the best button. And we're going to change the style. We're going to make the text white. And we're going to make it text scaled. And we can just say shop. And inside of here, we're going to have a local script. And then we can say mouse button one click event. So script.parent.mouse button one click. So when it's been clicked, we can say script.parent.parent.mainframe.visible equals not script.parent.parent.mainframe.visible. So this will just change the mainframe's visibility to the opposite of what it currently is. So it's kind of like a toggle. So if it's on, it'll go off. If it's off, it will come back on. So there we go. We've got our little toggle. You can see we can close it, we can reopen it, and we can buy things. I think if we reset, you should be able to keep your items, hopefully, because it's in the starter gear. Yep, you get to keep the item. And I think that is everything. We just want to actually change this to, we want to make this GUI, we want to make the mainframe invisible for now, so that it can be opened and it doesn't open up straight away. But there we go, that's the end of this tutorial on how to create a shop which can get you gears when you pay virtual currency. Don't forget to check out my other video on how to make a currency system, because these two videos were made for Roblox DevRel. You'll be able to see their article on their Medium page. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel AlvinBlox for more Roblox scripting tutorials. Make sure to like the video, turn on the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video. This is AlvinBlox telling you to keep scripting.